G'day everyone, and welcome to another Tempest video. Today you'll see we've got an announcement out on the Remorse deposit, and specifically the fact that we've received the remainder of the metallurgy samples that we had outstanding. And they are pretty good, in fact outstanding, so I recommend we get straight into it. As the title says, we've got further excellent metallurgical results. More detail later, but it's not an exaggeration to say that they are excellent, as the best number is slightly above 70%, which is just about as good as it gets in magnetite. It also proves that what we've been saying, that this is a robust deposit and potentially a good candidate for developing into a mine. Below the summary is the background. For anyone who's just joining the story, you can of course also check out the Remorse playlist on our YouTube here, and that has all the videos relating to the Remorse deposit since day dot. But we also have a quick yarn on the background here of how the story came about, and it's got plenty of background reading there with little references if you feel like researching. Going down to the next page, we've got information explaining our sampling. We collected a few tons of sample from our recent drill program. In fact, you can check out the video I did when we announced that, and you can see some footage of the field of Yurko and I collecting those samples. On the map here, you can see that we've got half a dozen collection sites. Yes, there were 9 composites total, but some of those sites had more than one composite made from them. A couple of the composites, in fact, were from the same drill hole, as the intercepts of iron were so thick that we chose to do that so that the composite wasn't overly blended or make it too smooth. The second picture is a long section or a slice parallel to the deposit, and it shows where the drill holes hit the mineralization as dots. And the big red circles, they're the holes that we sampled from. One thing we're quite proud of is that we collected a broad geographic spread of samples right from the get-go. And so you can already see, even at this early stage of the project, that we've got a picture of how the deposit behaves overall, and also the variance between areas from one side to the other. On this page, we've got some more detailed information on the procedures of the metallurgical testing. You can see that we have a subset of the original sample, mix them together, then grind them to various particle sizes, then conduct Davis tube recovery, and that measures how much magnetite comes out of the sample, and it's meant to simulate on a very high level what a processing facility would do. And then of course we assay the concentrate that comes out the back end of that process. Then we get down to the pointy end of the announcement, and probably the most important page for most people, and that's the results. As I foreshadowed at the beginning of this video, there are some ripping results in here. If you want to read all the numbers, go to the end to Appendix E and you can look at them there. But for now, I'm just going to quote using the 25 micron grind size to summarize the results. A, it's a pretty standard thing to do. B, it happens to be the optimal number for most of the samples that we're looking at. And C, the larger grind sizes, the results aren't much different either. So first, I'm actually going to start at the bottom. So number 8 and 9. They're from a thinner magnetite layers that sit in the southern hanging wall part of the system. We're not even looking at these from a mining or economic standpoint at all right now. These are purely distant future, what if, this kind of thing. And the results are quite okay at 63. By no means our best, but they're perfectly okay. But moving on to the main event, and obviously the highlight composite sample here is number 3, with a DTR recovery of 70.08. Yep, that's above 70. It's just sort of one of those magic numbers, and as I said at the start of the video, it's just about as good as it can get. But it's not alone. There's 2 high 69s here, there's 4 68s, and a couple of them you could appropriately round them up to 69 actually. These are exceptional results. We couldn't be happier with how they've gone. even if you look at the contaminants, which is a big deal in this commodity, we see they're almost exclusively across the board very low. Uh, there's a couple that have slightly anomalous stuff in it. There's a bit of silica here, um, but nothing we're remotely worried about. And it just reflects the standard kind of geological variability that you see in every deposit. And that's why we collected a range of samples and we're not just cherry picking. Amusingly, you'll see that number 2 has a bit of sulfur in it, and that got us interested as geologists again as to why that's there. And it actually could be, ironically, an exploration vector to helping us finding copper and gold again. But that's definitely a rabbit hole I'm not going down today. Needless to say, yep, here comes that word that I always say. We're excited about these results, and yeah, as I said earlier, couldn't be happier. At the bottom here, we've the usual next step segment. We're weighing up the options for a number of different ways to tackle the Remorse deposit going forward. For sure, there's going to be stacks more drilling in the future, and both at Remorse and surrounds. That's what we meant there by the extensions. We're also ramping up work back at our non-iron ore exploration projects. For example, a couple of weeks ago, we put out some new results for the gold target just south of Remorse, and that's called Sanity. So on that, with our exciting iron developments, it's easy for casual observers of Tempest to neglect the compelling exploration portfolio that we have, especially in the gold space. If you want to know more about that, I recommend you check out the webinar I did last week, where I spoke about some of the targets that we have and some of the exploration plans going forward. And fortunately, we just raised a bit of cash. And on that, on behalf of the company, I'd like to thank all our existing shareholders for the humblingly large take-up in our entitlement issue that we just closed. Also to Signet Capital, who've been supporting us with the private placement, the shortfall, and behind the scenes on other things as well. We've frankly got more things to do than we can poke a stick at, and that means a lot of news coming up. So stay tuned on the website and, of course, on the YouTube you're currently watching, where I will no doubt have the next video out very soon for you to watch. But until then,